that this material existence we're in manifests in our consciousness manifests or enters into this realm and experiences it through 3 stages. That is wakefulness, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. So wakefulness, sleeping in the dream state, and the deep sleep state. And that's also part of the Trishargo Mrisha. Trishargo means three manifestations of our reality, right? So once Lord Brahma, which is fitting because Ya Adi Kavaye, it's discussing how Brahma was the first. He first received this knowledge of the ultimate self and the absolute truth. So after he received this knowledge, after he created his world, he would also teach, right? So when he was teaching, he once was teaching about the glory of the Atman, the true self, and the Brahman. And when he was speaking about the Atman and the Brahma, the Atman specifically, the true self, he glorified it, saying that a person who really knows the true nature of the self, as imperishable, eternal, full of bliss, that person can achieve all opulence. He can be the most successful person in existence. So he basically said, if you're inquiring into this absolute truth, you can achieve the highest success, the highest attainment of whatever you desire. So as this passed down, there's a story. This story is coming from the Chandogya Upanishad. So it's commented on by many different acharyas. Especially Srila Vamana Goswami Maharaj spoke very nicely on it, very interestingly in the Harmonist. So Brahma gave this concept that if you know the real self, then you can achieve all opulence, whatever you desire, you become the most successful person in the universe. So hearing this, naturally people wanted to understand what is that secret. So the story goes that Indra, the king of the demigods, and Virochana, who at that time was the king of the Asuras. Now we describe Sura and Asura as demigods and demons. But the Vedic way is a little bit different. Basically, Sura means those who are favorable to God, in the sense that, like, you can think of it more as like angels and demons almost, more than demons and demigods. Because the demigods, they're the servants of the Lord. They're carrying out the administrative affairs of the universe. That's basically how you can think of it. And the demons are those who are opposed to them and trying to usurp their position and be the controllers themselves. But ontologically, the Asuras and the Suras are cousins, and the Asuras, actually I think they're considered to be the elder brothers. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because when they were churning the ocean of milk, the demons said that they should get first choice. That they chose to pull the head of Vasuki, the snake, what it was using as the churning rope to churn the ocean of milk with the Mandara mountain. So anyhow, the king of the demons was Virochan at that time. So Virochan is very interesting. He is the son of Prahlad Maharaj. He is the son of Prahlad Maharaj, the grandson of Hiranyakashipu, who was like the first big bad guy, the first bad, really powerful demon. So Virochan and Indra both approached Lord Brahma. And this story also coincides with that first verse we learned. Tad vigyanartham sagurum vigijit samit pani shrutiram brahmanishtam. They understood that to understand this, we must approach someone who is conversant in it. So they approached Brahma, Lord Brahma, with the sacrificial wood in their hands. The story tells that in the Vedic system, when you approach Guru, you carry sacrificial wood, which represents your faith in Guru, your faith in his knowledge and his wisdom and his ability to help you, and you place it at his feet, and then with that sacrificial wood, he will perform the yajna to initiate you into this practice of sadhana to understand the absolute truth. So they approached him and placed it at his feet, and then he did a yajna and initiated them. So Indra and Virochan, they came with material motives. They wanted more power. So therefore Brahma said, okay, now you want to understand this Atman and this Brahman, so you should enter the Gurukul, serve the cows, and perform brahmacharya perfectly for 32 years. And that is 32 years of the demigods. It was a very long time. So for 32 years, Brahma kept Indra and Virochan in his Gurukul, serving the cows. He said, for 32 years, you should not look at yourself in the mirror. Don't see any reflection of yourself. Because this is furthering your engrossment in this so-called self of the material body. That's because the so-called, as long as we're so absorbed in this matter and flesh, we forget that this is just the puppet. And we lose perspective of, like it said, even if this material body is the puppet, we are not the ones even pulling the strings. So we want to find out who we truly are. Nowadays people think, oh, the government is pulling the strings. And there's like layers of conspiracy theories. Oh, the government and the media, ultimately the deep state or beyond the deep state. There's so many layers of theories, but who are they being controlled by? Even you can go to the topmost material powers who may be acting behind the scenes. They're still being pulled by the strings of the modes of nature. That's why Krishna says in the Gita, Yantra Rudrani Maya. It is like we are on a machine of material nature, thinking that we are the agent, whereas in reality we are just being acted upon. We are just going through the routine of existence in this realm, according to birth, death, old age, and disease, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, thinking we're making independent choices, but we're just carrying out this trajectory of mundane life, which is already, we're in that. Why is it so hard to break out of that cycle? Because we've been going around this same cycle for millions of lifetimes, so it's become so ingrained that it's like a path that has become, you can imagine you traverse the same path millions and millions of times, and it becomes further and further ingrained in the psyche. So it's very hard to break out of that. So even when we think I'm choosing to become a doctor or a lawyer, or I may be a doctor or a lawyer, it's like ultimately you're going to try to gain further position in this world. You're going to eat, sleep, mate, defend. You're going to ultimately decay and die and then enter another embodied life. What's the difference? You're on that machine of material nature. So Brahma sent them to the Gurukul. For 32 years they stayed in the Gurukul serving. Then again they approached Brahma and he said, okay, now I want you to go and look at your reflection. So they went to a clear pool, looked at themselves and came back. And he said, that which you see in the reflection, that is the self. That is the Atman. And so hearing that, Virochana, he reflected for a little while and immediately took it up and left. So being of the demonic nature, he started this, what is called Dehatmavad. Dehatmavad means the theory that the body is the true self, the Atman. Deha Atmavad, the theory, Vad, that the body is the true self. And he propagated that in all his realms and ultimately on this earth as well. We see most people are following Dehatmavad, the theory of I am the body and therefore the benefit of the body is the benefit of the soul. And as much as I can, try to enjoy through the body. But Indra thought more deeply about it. As he was returning to heaven, he thought, how is that possible? So he returned. Actually, Brahma had told them, he said, look at yourself in the reflection of the pond. And they looked at themselves and they had these huge beards and long nails, long hair. Then they turned to Brahma and he said, okay, now you should shave your beards, shave your hair, cut your nails, bathe really nicely, with nice therapeutic mud, and then take a nice bath and approach me again. And so they did. And then again they looked in the pool and they saw themselves glowing, because after 32 years of brahmacharya, without any absorption of the self, growing long hair, through their sadhana tapasya, serving the cows, they were glowing like the newly risen sun. So when he told them that this is the self, they thought, oh, this is the self. And by developing the body, by spiritual practice, by sadhana, then our bodies become like as if divine. And then we can enjoy much more with the body. So they thought that's the goal of sadhana. So Brahma was testing them because he had said that by understanding the Atman, you can gain all kinds of opulence. So he showed them that when they saw their reflection and then cleaned themselves, they saw the difference and the power of their austerities because they were glowing like the sun. Then they saw, okay, this body is the self, and by maintaining the body, developing the body to its greatest capacity, then you can achieve the best things in this world. So that was the first stage. And that's connected to the state of wakefulness. This is connected to wakefulness, sleep, and deep sleep. So Indra came back and said, then Brahma said, again, 32 years. So again, for 32 years he did sadhana. Then again he came to Brahma, and then Brahma said, okay, the Atman, the self, is that being that you see in the state of sleep, dreaming. So he's taking him from a consciousness of the body to the mind. Because the mind is ultimately that agent that even when the body is in this inert state, then the mind is active in the subconscious state or the dream state. So he said that is the self. So he's leading him from bodily consciousness to the consciousness that I am the mind, and then ultimately he's going to lead him further. So he told Indra, no, you are that being you see in the state of dreaming. And so Indra thought about this for a while, and then again he approached Brahma and said, how is that possible? Because in a dream state, one may be killed, but then he wakes up and he's still alive. Or in the dream state, one may be fabulously wealthy. He wakes up, he's still a beggar. So how can that be the self? You may be chased by a tiger in your dream and about to fall into its mouth and be devoured, and then you wake up. So he said, how can the self be the mind in the dream state? That's why Brahma said, yes, good. Now, one thing about the first level of the bodily consciousness is Brahma was not completely misleading him, because he says that you can see the presence of the soul by the fact that you're embodied and alive. That's one of the pramans or evidences for the existence of the consciousness. Because a stone isn't active, or something that's just jud, inert, without consciousness in it, it's hard. Even trees have consciousness in it, therefore they are flowering, they're going through the same stages of life as we are. So Brahma said that even the body, you can infer the presence of the soul just by seeing the body. And then there's a verse in the Gita that confirms that. It says, Avinasi tu tadvidi, is 217 Bhagavad Gita. Avinasi tu tadvidi, sarvamidam tadam, that you can see the soul as it's present throughout the entire body. So for example, if you cut your finger, what is experiencing pain is the soul. Once in Gurudev's classes in the West, recently a few months ago I was typing this, Gurudev asked the question, when the body feels pain, who is feeling pain? Is it the soul or something else? People say, no, it's not the soul. Gurudev said, yes. When you're experiencing pain, that is the soul experiencing it. But it's also due to attachment. If you are completely detached, you can be soul over matter, what to speak of mind over matter. Like Haridas Thakur, he was being lashed in 22 marketplaces, he didn't feel any pain because he was completely detached. So Brahma said that the soul is perceived by its presence in the body, meaning it is called the Dehi. It is embodied in the body, therefore you can see the soul. But it's more closely related to the mind. And ultimately it's not even the mind. So after another 32 years of sadhana, so this is 96 years now, Indra came back again. This time, so Brahma told Indra, the true self is not the body you see in reflection. It is not the mind that is active in the dream state while the body is inert. And it is not, then he said, actually it's in the state of deep sleep, when the self is still active. It's described in the state of deep sleep. Actually, it's described in the beginning of the universal creation that Lord Kshiradakshaya Vishnu, the Paramatma himself, and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, they appeared in the universal egg, which is the ultimate seed. Like the universe appears like an egg. And in that egg, that golden egg, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu appears and rests within it. But even despite all the demigods trying at that point to create progeny and make the universe bountiful, they could not do anything. And ultimately, Paramatma, by his own will, he became active or aware or engaged in the world, and then everything could manifest from that. So as long as he was still in the sleeping state, nothing could be active. So it's described that when you're in the state of deep sleep, that potency which wakes you up or enables you to come back into external consciousness, that is Paramatma. And without him, his power waking you up, ultimately you just remain in deep sleep or dead. It's just as good as it, right? So Brahma said, nah, it's just that state of deep sleep. But then Indra again thought that how can it just be that state of deep sleep? Because in the state of deep sleep, it's like you're not aware of anything. He said, in the state of deep sleep, the soul is present with God. And when you wake back up, that's why Parodi likes to say his favorite time is sleep time. In one sense, in the transcendental sense, because he said when you're sleeping, if it's a mundane person like us, like me, it's like, okay, you're sleeping and you're just absorbed in Maya, or you're just like Jud, completely in Tamagun. But for the sadhu, sleep time is time to be present with God, with no material distractions. That time the soul can be completely present with God, serving him in Manasi Seva. That's why Raghunath Das Goswami is glorified, saying, Chapan Dandaratri Dine, Janina Radha Govinda Vine. He was awake almost the entire day, 22 and a half hours, but for that hour and a half he would sleep, he was Najani Radha Govinda. He only knew Radha Govinda. So then Brahma said 5 more years austerity, 5 more years Indra followed austerity, so it was 101 years in the heavenly realm, which is vastly greater than our mortal years in earth. Then finally came back and he said, actually that soul is beyond the state of wakefulness, sleep, and deep sleep in this material creation, Ultimately, it is transcendental to all that. Surupera hoy galokita stiti. The true home of the soul is the transcendental realm, and we can transcend Maya and illusion by the process of Bhakti Yoga. And we're going to go further into that in our next lecture.